All right. Good evening, everyone. This is mommies.com Instagram Live. I am so excited to be here on this Instagram Live this evening, and it's such a good time. It's a pleasure to have every one of you joining us. Please, this link you can share to your friends and your family that we are here. We're talking parenting, awesome parenting. Yeah, I just shared the link. You can send the link to your family and friends. We're talking about the screen savvy parents, in this age and time when the world is just everything, is just a click away. Like when you click at the click of a button or something, you get all the information you need. When I was writing when I posted the the information last week, I was just thinking like, okay, a kind of a caption and all of that. It just occurred to me like, how many parents, some of us are practicing no screen time, we're strict on screen time. Some parents are saying, well, we can have screen time, but can we regulate this and all of that? And when we talk about screen time is anything, everything, your computer, your TV, all your accessories, your tabs, and all of that, social media, YouTube, kids, YouTube, adults, all your game apps, all the apps on everything is just amounts to your screen time. And so even as adults, adults have screen time. In fact, a lot of adults live on the screen. That is how some people make their living, all through this week my phone has been my screen time schedule went up a lot. When iPhone issued my screen time report for the week, it had gone up, I think, like 17% from what I had previous weeks. Because this week, when I see a notification, notification keeps popping up, and I just want to see, like, I'm eager and anxious and all of that. So my screen time went up like 70%, like more than what I used to have. And that's even because I'm under a strict regulation. After a few hours, my Instagram just goes off by itself. And there are some days when my Instagram goes off and says 5 more minutes, like it has told me now. That means I have 5 more minutes today to spend on Instagram. When it goes off, I'll still be the one that will go back to the back end and still go and reschedule it like another 1 hour, or ignore limits for today, just because I feel like I'm not done. All right, because I feel like I'm not done and I see other things I still want to do and all of that. But we know that these things, it has its pros. Technology majorly has its pros, has its cons. All right, there has been research that some people I'm not going to say so much because I want Mr. to say everything, like everything. I'm just going to be putting the salt and pepper, the Maggi and sugar and all of that. He's going to be the one saying the almost everything I want we are here to discuss. I want you to hear from him and all of that. So before we continue today, so what we are here is, how do you even handle yourself around your children as a parent? Your parenting, do you think a screen time be helpful to you? Do you feel you should cut down on your children's screen time? Do you know your why? If you are cutting down on children's screen time, do you even know why you are doing it? If you have not started doing it, then I think you should find your why today. And hopefully by the end of this, we will know the reasons why, it's everywhere, screen time and all of that. Because basically, we know that a lot of our children, because like the analogy Mr. Nigerian gave me last week when we had this conversation was, these children, when we're giving birth to them, we are living on the screen. So a bit of our going to explain that in again. DNA now cuts that technological this. That's why you see a baby. It's still, when you have babies that do like this, when you give them phone, they can swipe. Even toddlers, they know how to do like this. When you give them phone, they don't want it. So like it has become a kind of a genetic thing to our children. This is the world they are. And newsflash, technology is not going away. Technology has come to stay. AI is here, ChatGPT is here. Era that we are in, just the way we in the new Y2K, year Y2K, year 2000 usher the new. This is the new trend, and we are going to start keep improving on this. So, what do we do as parents to keep our children safe from the dangers of screen time apps, all of these things and all of that. As a parent, what I think you should even watch out for. You want your children to be responsible digital citizen. How do you even go about it? What do you want your children? How do you want to raise responsible children? You know, in our community, mommies.com, we say that we are raising proper children and happy children. You know, we are not raising robots. We are not saying children sit down there. I want them to sit down there. We're raising happy children, proper children that are starting, that can stand up for themselves. But at the same time, you know, they are proper. You know what I'm talking about? Awesome children, proper children that will become awesome adults. Children that will grow up and they won't have to be recovering from traumas like a lot of us are still recovering from. But then it is not just anything you should wish for. Like, I wish my children come out right. Good intentions will not do this. You have to follow the curriculum. Parenting is an art. You have to learn it. You can't just be caught sleeping and feel that is it just when I have children, I brought children to this life and that is all. No, there are things you need to do. You know, one of the things that, you know, one of the reasons why Mr. Israel is here with me today is, you know, we had a prior conversation and he told me how he sat his 11-year-old down and they had conversation about things. You know, I mean, I don't like me. When I was growing up, my father, don't tell him. Conversation, okay. Then they give you instruction. If they born you well, don't do it. You smell. Do you understand? And you know, tell your children, this is the reason why we're doing this. Helping them see reasons, helping them also see things in your own life. And okay, let's converse. What do you want? How do you want it to do? You know, he told one of the things that actually busted me. I said he told his daughter that this is the age you're going to have a phone, and you know, this is how, and this is the reason why I'm doing it. And inside that conversation, there were a lot of learning moments, teaching moments, talking about peer pressure, how to stand up for yourself, how to be your own person, how not to be swayed by every wind of doctrine, you know. And what else is it that we are fighting against? What this age and time? Children with low complex, even adults, people that live on social media validation, they feel good, no toughness, nothing. So inside this thing, conversation we're having today comes a lot more conversation. And please, like I said, I just posted the link. Invite your friends and family. Let us learn from the best. Like I told you, Mr. Izire is my friend, is my mentor. You know, I look at him. He doesn't talk too much, but those few things he says, he just be dropping the bomb. I can spend the whole day just looking at him, like just talking, just be gisting and be having fun, you know. And you know, when I count my blessing, excuse me, I count him like 1,000 times. That's the truth. He's a family friend, and you know, I'm happy that he's here today. Guys, please celebrate Mr. Izire in the comment section. He doesn't do this every day. He's doing it for me. He's doing it for me. So celebrate if you know you're on this call. Yes. And before we continue, I am going to be reading Mr. Izire's profile. It's a very rich profile that I'm proud of. So yes, I'm going to read it so that you can know that this person talking is not just talking. It's not fabu that he wants to give us. So he wants to tell us the truth. Scripture says, buy the truth and sell it not. So what we want to hear today is the truth. We are just going to get into this, but before we continue, I'm going to be reading. Yes, we celebrate grace. There's a lot of grace. Yeah. So yes, about our guest, Mr. Izire is an experienced technology leader building businesses in Africa, the Middle East, and North America over the last 15 years. That's the veteran. He has led teams at various stages from pre-seed to profitable, and he has a wide range of experience across fintech, banking, medtech, mobility, and SaaS businesses. All right. I hope that does not sound rubbish. He's a tech daddy. You know what I'm talking about. Okay. He's a firm believer of project-led growth. He was most recently an engineering leader at a profitable SaaS company with over $21 million in annual revenue. Shit, that's a lot. Leading teams to deliver tools to over 1.5 billion customers. He's currently building digital tools for global payment businesses. And guess what? He's married to the beautiful Ayobami, and they both have 2 beautiful daughters. Very beautiful family. I'm telling you I know them. They are beautiful people. Beautiful in out. All right. Thank you so much once again, everyone. Somebody say, wow. Yes, I'm serious. See profile. Yes. That's a lot. And you know, I started this story and I said that, you know, he spoke to me, said, Kemi, we are the one building this house. We know what we're doing. he said something, this happiness hormone, you know, he does everything tonight and how it works, how app developers want you to stay on that app for the rest of like your life, just be there and all of that. And these are the things that holding our children bound. But we as parents want to enter into mindful screen time. How do we lead our children? They need our leadership. How do we do it such that we are not blurring the lines, we are putting boundaries in place, and at the same time, we're not making our children deficient. They are not, what's the word now? They are not just, I need the word now. They are not deprived. Okay, you don't want to have a child that who does not know what people are saying out there, and they are just looking. That's not what we want, but we want to lead our children. So thank you once again, sir, for coming out tonight. I still have another plan for you that I have started another plan that I'm coming. All right, I have other plans, all right, after this, but let's do this first. All right. So yes, so my first question goes to him tonight.
Yeah.
I've introduced him already, so he doesn't have to introduce himself already. Yes, so as a senior software developer, as a senior engineer, I'm sure you have seen apps, you've seen the ones you have played around with. I'm sure that when you see apps, you can say, I know where you're coming from, I know where you're going to, and all of that. You know, I want to tell us, you know, the unique perspective you have to designs of computer apps. And how do you think that some of these apps, especially the ones that have our children in mind, how do you think that these ones, especially online games, the social media platform, how do you think they influence our children's behavior, their development, and their well-being? Does it even have any impact? And if it does, what do you think? What impact do you think these things have? The advantages, the disadvantages, why we need to be watchful? Yeah, that's the question.
All right. Thank you so much, Kemi, for that introduction. And hi to everyone either watching or listening. I feel very, very honored to be a part of mommies.com. I'm a dad, I'm not a mom, but when Kemi found a way to bring me onto the stage, so I'm very, very honored. I wanted to start by talking about some of the things that started happening as we started having access to the phone, the iPhone. Hi, Omami. Okay, I'm not gonna get distracted anymore, but I just wanted to say hi to everyone. When the phone came, you have to remember from our days, those of us who are millennials and maybe late Gen Zs, you remember how that we didn't have access to this device called the phone. We didn't have access to a lot of these digital devices. And because of that, I make bold to say that we lived very, very happy childhood. As a matter of fact, even though most of us were not from wealthy homes, most people remember their childhood as quite happy and quite event filled. But I started kind of thinking about these things lately, about how our children have been reacting to technology, even me, myself being a part of, the industry in itself. And I started seeing how children interact with this technology and how children behave with and around this technology. And I started, kind of learning a little bit more about how this is affecting our general psychology as a people or our general thinking as a people. And I must say that I found very, very interesting things in that sense. For instance, between in the last one generation, so Generation Z and Generation Alpha, a lot of scientists say that our brains have now shrunk, right? Which means that the brains of millennials, baby boomers, those are our parents, and the silent generation, those are our parents, used to be bigger. But there's a part of our brain that is now shrinking. If you check it vis-a-vis, if you look at a millennial's brain and you look at a Gen Z or Gen Alpha brain, there's a part of it that is now shrinking. It is the part that is responsible for feedback. It is the part that is responsible for inhibition, which is like holding yourself accountable or like stopping yourself in your track.
Mm-hmm.
It is the part that is responsible for happiness. It is the part that is responsible for social interaction. And and if you ask me, you find out that for some reason or the other, we're raising kids that are not as social as we are. And if we continue in this trajectory, we will be raising kids that find it easier to stay by themselves, live by themselves, do things alone, as opposed to the way we see life. Um, I want to talk about social media for starters. One thing that was built into social media, I'm going to break it down into two areas. There are apps that you have on your phone that we have also allowed our kids to have access to. And those apps, you don't pay for them. And I wanted to sound this warning in and of itself that if you see any app that you're not paying for, but you are deriving utility from it, know that you are the product. Do you
Hmm.
see? So if you're not paying for a product and it's on your phone, but you can have access to it, you can do so many things with it. You can watch news, you can do all that. Remember that you are the product, and you that they are asking, that they are talking about is your attention. So it's called the attention economy. And with social media, the name of the game is me getting your attention. I need to get your attention. So what a lot of these big tech companies are doing is that they're not competing. So Facebook and Twitter, they're not competing on on their products. Twitter doesn't want to be like Facebook. Facebook doesn't want to be like Twitter. What they are competing on is your attention. And because these two crept into our daily lives, we don't understand the extent to which these two has power over us. There is a hormone that is secreted called dopamine when you use some of these social media tools. It's the same hormone that gives you like satisfaction, right? Maybe when you finish a great workout, or when you finish a project and you kind of send it along. It gives you that feeling of feedback and satisfaction, right? But you find out that the more you spend time on these tools, that you yourself are the product, you find out that you're getting too much of that heat. So every time you get a like, every time somebody sends you an emoji, a fire emoji, a smiley emoji, you're feeling good about your picture. If you post a picture and you see 10,000 likes, what you have just done is that you've gotten your dopamine hit. And that same level of chemical release is also very, very comparable to the one you get while gambling, because they're very, very dangerous, is what I wanted to say. I beg your pardon. Very dangerous drugs. And so, what has now happened is that that little thing on your hands is now giving you dopamine hits every minute, every second. So, imagine yourself taking cocaine every second. That's what kind of spending your time on social media does. What they have done is that there's a race to the bottom of how much of your attention can I get. You have to understand, if you are the product, how do they make money? I need to keep you on this app for as long as possible. That's why you say, oh, let me just go on Instagram and see what's happening there. And before you know it, you spend an hour. Before you know it, you spend 2 hours. I've seen people spend 3 hours on TikTok. I've seen people spend hours on YouTube just watching one thing or the other, from one thing to the other. So remember, your attention is the currency that is being sold to either these companies, the companies who need to understand who you are and what you are interested in. So everybody is kind of jostling for that attention. And so one of the things we need to start doing is to pay attention to our attention, right?
Hmm.
It's to
Pay
pay
attention
attention
to
to
your
what
attention.
intended. So to pay attention to what we're taking seriously, to pay attention to what we're paying attention to. How long are you spending on your phone, and what are you spending on? Because some of the downfalls of kind of giving yourself that much dopamine hit is that at a point your body, because of the way the body is designed, your body doesn't respond to it anymore. That's why you see people, quote unquote, they start chasing what is called clout, which means they want likes, they want comments, they just want that interaction from the window of their phone. They rather sit behind the keypad and interact across the world. They just want that extra hit again. Oh, people are commenting on my post. Oh, I just made a post and people are liking it. That hit keeps coming, and it's a never-ending thing. And what happens is that there are downsides that researchers and psychologists have kind of have brought out to say, look, the more you spend time, the more you do this, what you are doing is that you are hacking yourself into not being able to, one, pay attention. And I'll link that to our kids. If you look at a child that spends their time too much on the tablet or the phones or the or any device, you find out that it's harder for them to pay attention. Some of these things are very, very dangerous for them whilst in school. That's why they can't sit still. They are jittery. They the same symptoms you have, that drug, people who are suffering from like addiction, general addiction, who's, the same symptoms you get from them, which is like not being able to kind of sit down and be still, being very jittery and not being able to pay attention, not being able to introspect, always chasing the next high. These are the symptoms you start finding in kids. And so it's important that we start regulating how much exposure we give our children towards, even us as adults. We are very, very guilty. But one thing we have now done is that we sometimes are lazy with our kids. We just hand them a phone when they are disturbing us. We just hand them, you don't know what they are watching. You don't know how much of your information is out there. You don't know who they're interacting with. And you don't know exactly what is happening to their minds as they grow. So imagine spending the next 15 years just, inside this digital world where all they are doing is kind of hacking their brain towards driving their attention to what will give maximum ROI to these companies. So again, you are the product. If you're not paying for anything, or not, if you download an app and you find out that you're not paying for it, but you're getting utility from it, remember that you're the product, and your mind is being modified to a sense to 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 advertisers, for instance, to big companies and things like that. So it's important to then look at ways to mitigate some of these things, some of the issues that has now resulted. For instance, like I said earlier, that the brains have shrunk. That's why you then have kids who do not perform very well socially. They would rather be with a phone instead of going into, so if they come into a place with two or more kids, they want to grab their phones and play on their phone. They would rather stay with their phone. In fact, some research says that some Gen Zs would rather stay with their phone than go to a party, right? Some Gen Alphas would rather be on their phone than go outside. And so these are behavioral modifications that have started happening as a result of these mobile phones, these apps coming into our space, and us just embracing and giving all our attention to it. So that's kind of like a summary of how important it is to pay attention to what you pay attention to through your phone.
Yes, dropping is like us hot. He said, "Your attention, you are the product. Your attention is the currency. So what you have to do is to pay attention to your attention." Is somebody jotting things down? Now I'm asking myself, I need to
I'll
start paying
patent it.
attention.
I think I'll patent it and sell that line.
Yes, you should.
It be a
You
very lucrative
should.
line.
You should. Need to pay attention to your attention. That dopamine secretion. You know, some parents say that, don't worry, my child is fine. Just give him his tablets or something. He's not going to disturb
Yeah.
anybody. Mommies, you are doing yourself a whole lot of harm. When you say
Because
your
what you are
child,
doing is that
you
you
know,
are training the child to not pay attention anymore, because the dopamine hits them so much that if once they don't have that tablet, they can't sit still.
yeah,
They can't interact with
they can't
anybody.
finish
They don't
the
want to
task.
do anything. They can't finish a task, which is not going to help them in future. Like, how are they going to hold down a job, for instance? How are they going to see through a project from A to Z if they cannot, if you are already training their minds not to be able to manage things, to wait for things, for feedback, to have that reward system that is delayed. We used to wait till 4 p.m. before we had access to TV, and we could only watch maybe 2 or 3 hours of it before our parents took over the TV, right? But these children now have access to phones, tablets from both parents, TVs, all kinds of things, and we can sometimes lazily just once they're disturbing you and you're trying to finish something on your laptop, or you're trying to get food done, you can just give them your phone and have them kind of leave you be. But what you're doing is that you're feeding, it's just releasing that dopamine. Soon enough, it won't have any effect on them. Then they will chase other things, which is why you're now having a lot of suicide amongst teenagers. These research are out there. You're having a lot of gambling. You're having a lot of drug use, because now what they are doing is that if this thing is not helping me anymore, I need to find something that gives me that dopamine hit. You and I will do a workout because we are millennials, and we'll be happy with ourselves all day because dopamine has filled our system. We're happy. We would hang out with friends just like we did some time ago, and you'll be happy for the next week or so because you've hung out, you've interacted with people. But these kids are no more, especially teenagers. Just observe them. They are no more hanging out together. Even when they hang out, they're on their phones, they're on their, because they would rather spend time with people across the world than just look up and communicate with people that are right in front of them. And that is having a huge toll on the society at large in itself.
Yeah, thank you so much for that heads up. We've spoken about the negative impact that it has about, attention reduction in our children's attention span and everything. But then what do? We know that technology is the order of the day, and we don't want to raise children who are ignorant and all of that. Now my children have Google Classrooms. They have not resumed school already. They already sent them. They already have classroom going on. They are learning on these apps and all of that. I still remember somebody telling me now that I should download a math app for my child to start learning math and all of that. So many things, the world is just entirely on the screen, basically. And so I just want to speak to the advantages of this thing, because we don't want our children to be ignorant and don't want to deprive them, because this is their world, this is what they are into now. I want to talk about the advantages of these apps, of this screen time, because people have said that this is how their children learn and all of that. But we know that sometimes it's a lot of laziness, really, really. But then it can't be all bad. Basically, it can't be all bad. I want us to speak to the advantages
It's
of
not
this
all bad.
thing.
Yeah, as with all technology, there's the good side and the bad side, and the bad side just needs to get regulated so that you get the great, the best value out of the technology. I mean, kids are becoming creative. They are drawing on apps that allow you to do that, and so one is to. I mean, we're going to talk about just kind of the things we can do to get the best out of, this technology. But the
Yeah.
good side I wanted to talk about was that there are so many tools out there to help your children. I mean, for instance, can they type? Are they learning how to type? I mean, you and I have the excuse that, oh, we didn't grow up with mobile phones, so you can be pressing laptop with one finger, right?
Yeah.
But you can't your kids can't have the same excuse because they already grew up with this thing. I remember the first time I touched the computer was probably when I was 19 years old, right? And so you have to retrain yourself on a number of things. But these kids they grew up and find a laptop at home, find phone. So there are tools for them to learn how to type, which is a productivity skill to have. There are things for them to learn how to draw, for them to learn about the world around them, documentaries. There's a very good one called Dr. Bynum. A lot of
Dr.
people know this one.
Binance. Yeah.
Yes, and your kids can learn a lot on those. So whenever they eventually get on these technology, it is to regulate what they have access to at their age and the outcome you are getting from it, right? This tool helps you. It's like a lever, right? It helps you to unlock your child's creativity. It helps you to unlock your child's ideas. They can start a content creation channel, and you can unlock their unique perspective from there, can unlock their unique skills from there. They can start learning how to live in this digital age. They can learn how to be an important personality in this digital world and know how to use it to their own advantage, right? As opposed to just being on there for the sake of being on there. So yes, it's got great part, because the one thing technology does for you is that it makes things easier and it speeds things up. So your kids can now learn at a faster pace. Your kids can now learn at an easier pace, right? There are so many videos for them to learn, particular things around, you know, what they're learning in school, for them to go deeper into knowledge. So for kids, I guess say less than 16, it's at that age where they're just kind of taking in a lot of their environment and shaping their own opinion about things in general. So yeah, technology is fantastic, and I do not advocate for just taking the phone away completely. I advocate for selecting what they are able to have access to and kind of choosing an outcome for the things that they're able to have access to on the other end of using the device. And of course, yes, the kids need to be entertained. And there are also very, very great educational things for kids to be entertained with, to relax their brain. Not every time learning, right? But sometimes they need to relax their brain and watch like goofy and funny things that will help them relax and help them. But it can't be too much. It has to be regulated. So yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much. You can't be too does don't want to do it too much, because yes, we can't take away the fact that these children, they learn and all of that. But then we need to highly pay attention to this thing. So again, it takes us to that word, that sentence. Pay attention to your attention. I was talking to a Gen Z, and he was like, this thing that sometimes mommy thinks is reading the Bible. You know that Bible app that they think they are reading the
Yeah.
Bible, but under that app they're actually watching porn. And I said, how
Yeah.
did they do it? So you as a parent, when you see what they are watching, you're saying Bible app, but they know how they do this thing. So as a parent, I think, do you think that parents too should learn, like, what should we do as parents so that we can also at least be one step ahead of these children? We know what to do part time and all of. Can you speak to that?
I remember I remember when we were having this conversation, and I had spoken with someone as well who had a kid, a teenage kid who they were using the iMessage too, but the kind of messages they were kind of putting out there to each other was not was not good at all. And the challenge she was having was that she doesn't even know when her daughter gets on these platforms where they are cussing each other out and like body shaming each other, bullying each other, using very, very derogatory, watching things that kind of are borderline suicidal, especially for young teenage girls. Things about their bodies, very, very dangerous things, talking about dangerous things about their self-image and things like that. One of the things that I said was that um, there are tools that you can have on your phone. First of all, again, it has to be regulated. And even when it is regulated, you have to know what are the apps that they're downloading on their phones, right? You cannot download an app without proper scrutiny, right? I will get a notification. You can set up a simple email where you get a notification of whatever they download on that particular phone. So you're not just buying a phone off the shelf and handing it to your child. You're setting it up by yourself with your email so that whenever they download an app, you know the app. And sometimes spend the time, go onto these apps. I do this a lot. My kids are on Roblox, which is like if you have any child, pre-teen or teen, this is where they spend all their time. And I went there myself. I just kind of gave it a swirl to see what is happening here, you know. And one of the things a lot of other parents were saying was that, look, find out who are their influencers on there and what are these things, what are the things, what are the kind of content that they are watching, so that you yourself can educate yourself and say, okay, this content is good for my child. There's a particular singer that came onto that platform some time ago, and I'm not particularly a fan of that singer because of the kind of content. But to make money, these companies will bring them on and have a lot of kids, cheer them on. And these people are giving them all kinds of knowledge on there that is contrary to what you're teaching your child. So those are kind of things you won't have access to if you just leave them be. If you just give them the app or give them the device and leave it, you need to watch some things with them. And just the way you raise children is that you can be having a conversation on your way back from school and say, oh, who's your favorite YouTuber? Oh, Mr. Beast. Oh, let me go and see what Mr. Beast, what kind of content does Mr. Beast put out there? Oh, okay, great. This content is not bad. You can watch it. But you have to let the kids know why. If you ask them not to watch a particular content creator, you have to let them know why. They spend a lot of time on YouTube. Oh, who's your favorite YouTuber? They will give you a list. They have their favorite YouTubers. They have their so you have to be involved. You have to spend time, watch these things, let your kids be registered as a child on YouTube, right? Don't let them go on your profile. If let them go on a profile that is not is for kids. There's a profile that you create that is under 13 or under what's it called, so that there's some content that they can't have access to. If they can't have access to the content, you are sure that okay, at least you've created some kind of a guardrail. With that guardrail now, you then inside that guardrail, you still have to look at even the things they are watching. What are the significance? What are they learning? Are they just wasting time away? For instance, my wife, there's a particular show my kids watch. They have watched it back to back, and what we started doing, we don't know the outcome yet, but what we started doing is to get them to watch the French version of it, so that they can start picking up French, because this is the time where they can pick up languages. So why don't they start watching the French version of it? Because they watch the English version, they can start picking up little French here and there. So those are the ways you can tweak things for them to still stay entertained, still stay engaged, but you're not totally restricting them. So you have to put parental controls. Yeah, somebody put it there. Yeah, that's the word. There's a way you can set it, notifications, things like that. There are a bunch of things you can do on your phone now. You set it that they cannot have access to some websites. They can't have access over a period of time. Any website that has lewd words or lewd images on them, you can set it that it doesn't go there, and so on and so forth. Now, when they download an app, you also get a notification, and so on and so forth. There are even apps that you can use to mirror what's on their phone. So, for instance, you have a young adult with a phone or a laptop, you can download the app and mirror what they are doing, so that sometimes, without them knowing, you can start looking at what they are looking at and looking at the kind of apps they are interacting with, so that you can educate yourself about what your child is actually doing.
Thank you so much. We say in our community that parenting is first about you. You cannot raise a child when you have not raised yourself. And there's a place where we parents, especially millennials, we're just going to well, I don't know these things, and you don't want to learn those things. If you will not grow, or you won't learn these things for yourself, you feel you don't need them. But for the sake of the children you are raising, you know that you need to be a step ahead of them, then learn. As somebody else in the comment section, thank you, Wumi. Educate yourself for the sake of your children. Know these things. There was a time a mom sent me a list of short words that these children sent to each other, and they're like alphabets, short forms, and they all have different meanings. They were like 50 kind of, and I'm like, so I should memorize this. When they are saying that, like, I read it over and over again. So when I know, although my children are still young, but you can't say because when they grow up, don't worry, when we get to that bridge, we are that bridge already. Don't say when we are that bridge already. You're 4, 5 years old, already typing things on the what they're already going to Google to go and type. One day I see I started saying, and he typed, how do you make a sword? Do you understand? So let's start talking about, okay, I know your interest is in all of these things, you want to be hands-on. So as parents, we need to be savvy. Even if you don't have interest, pick up that interest. You know, she was that was something that when one influencer came to Nigeria, in fact, that's the first time I'm hearing about that guy. He said Kai
Yes,
something. I have
and
never,
a lot of parents don't know. Yeah,
I
when that
don't know
influencer
who
came to
Kai
Nigeria,
is.
a
But when
lot
I
of
now saw
Nigerian
when I
parents
now went to
didn't
check
know.
his YouTube page, and I saw can he call million follower? I said I'm here.
Yeah,
This
your
space
kids are
with me
following
head.
your
I'm going
kids
to
are
look at
following
because
them, and you don't know them.
yes, because little by little, these children they go to school, they hear things and they come back, they want to practice it and all of that. They want to, and then this thing to belong and all of that. So I
Yeah,
said, like,
yeah,
you know, I was just on Instagram one day and I saw that one parent was talking about a song that a daughter was dancing to. But when they played the song, he said, that's how we this school, everybody. I now went to YouTube to go and look for that song, no, it don't make any sense to me. But the
yeah,
song they don't entering 20 million views. I said, what's this song about? But when I went to find out every day, I found that there were a lot of young people. That's the song, and it's not even an English song. It's a Korean song. I didn't even understand what they were singing.
yeah,
But you know what? I started looking for other songs like that, such that I'm not just because I don't have work, but so that we can be ahead of this trend. So they
yeah.
can be a step ahead of these children. They say TY, be right back. Now I be
Yeah,
something by God's grace. You know, it took me a long time to know that get ready with me. You know, that GR something that I will see on.
yeah,
I could not have said anybody because
yeah,
I was shy. I said that one day on the this thing, I will decode this one. The one that I tried decoded that is get ready with me that they are saying. And whether we like it or not, it's not
yeah,
going to get better. That's what me I shall know that this thing is not going to like it's not like in the next few years everything will be laugh. There are a lot of inventions. Our app software developers they are coming up with um different innovations, and like Mr. Adrian said, your attention is the currency. Anything that will say those ones are even mild, they are more coded. Yes, they are more coded ones, very very thick ones that they use. They want synergies, they want to if they want to converge, they know how to send each other messages. You know, there was a time I saw one and they have a map. They built this class in a class, they have a map. So each person they monitor each other's movement. They'll just say everybody come to, and as each other as they are moving, this guy was looking at his, and
yeah,
they were all
yeah.
converging small small. So he
They
knew that this
talk.
person is close by.
They talk on so
I'm
many
like
apps. You might
on
think that
so
you
many
block them
hearts
on
and
messaging
all
apps.
of that. So
Yeah,
you
you
know,
might
and you
think
know some
you
of us
block
are
them on messaging apps, but they have access to other apps that you don't even know. For instance, there's another one called Discord that they're all using, but I'm sure a number of people don't know. We in tech use it for like Slack, the way you use Slack, but kids are now using it to communicate. Now your kids are chatting with people across the world. You don't even know that that thing exists. There's Discord
exist
within Roblox itself. There's a message thing where you can even turn on your mic and start conversing.
with
You know,
somebody who is not even around you. You can
yeah,
talk to somebody, you
yeah,
can invite somebody to come and play with you and all of that. And that's from their place to start, you know, you build relationship. Of course, when we're also growing up, we had pen pals, right? When we're growing up, we had pen pals where we write too. But then when you write letter, you know that will not get there till maybe some few months and all of that. And
yeah,
we had pen pals and all of that. So all of those things that have now been modified. And the thing is, these things are
yeah.
instant. And I think that is where
The
the really,
danger
really,
is,
really
yeah.
it's
You
like
know
the
what
instant
technology does is that it
messaging.
speeds things up. It speeds things up.
Yes.
So now your child is now chatting with somebody in the US, for instance. Before your letter got to the US, even if you had a pen pal in the US, it will probably take 3 weeks before they then send your
Another
letter back. And
reply.
before you get your letter back, maybe one of your parents must have opened it and they must have read it.
An
But
adult,
now
yes.
all that has been, all that channel has been cut off. They can now discuss with people across the world and share things, and that is where the challenge is because even the things that they are not yet supposed to know, there are other kids who probably were not being raised with this much restrictions, are now telling them they are listening to songs they're not supposed to be listening to, watching things they're not supposed to be watching, discussing about them, using words that they are not supposed to be using, describing themselves in ways that they're not supposed to describe themselves, especially for teenage girls. In fact, they were talking about teenage suicide having increased recently because of this body dysmorphia that is being kind of sold online to young girls. And what has happened is that even these social media companies are not responsible enough to catch these things and shut them down. I mean, they are not fast enough to catch some of these propaganda that's out there and that your kids are inadvertently interacting with if you're not careful, which is why you have to stay a step ahead, just, like you said.
Yeah. But then there is this so there are two things that I want us to talk about. How do you think that what there are some that I want to share, okay? Disagreements and resistance. We know that these children, especially the ones they are growing per day, they see what their peers are doing out there. They want to be a part of it and all of that. And a lot of resistance. Even these small ones, this the 5 4 years. So when you say no screen time, they will come and give you attitude. I'm not your friend again because you don't want to get and all of that. And how do you, like, from your own perspective, you're the one, know that this thing, I know that this thing is not good for you and all of that. How do you think parents should undo disagreements and resistance when their child when it comes to limiting screen time and accessing some certain types of content? For a child, what do you think parents should put in place, especially when they come with questions? Why I can't do this? Why am I different? The whys, they have a lot. Their generation, they have a lot of whys. They have a lot of questions. How do you how do you think parents should address it when there's resistance? He said his watchword is, I'm not your friend again. That's what they do now.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's one thing a lot of parents, where I feel a lot of parents are missing it. Your job is not to be your child's friend.
Mm,
You are firstly a parent, because
mm.
but if you
Hey,
behave well,
internet
we can
too.
be friends, right? If you allow us to be friends, it depends on you. It's
Mm.
it rests solely on you. But I'm not your friend. I'm your father, which means that I have guardrails that I've set aside for you. Some of them you might not like them. Some of them you might like them. But it's important that I stay in that position where I am not being blackmailed into friendship. Or I don't, and there are things, right?
Yeah, the blackmail into
You know,
friendships. Yes.
yeah, they're like, oh, I'm not going to talk to you. But you have to also punish that as well and say, no, you don't behave like that. That you're not happy with somebody, you have to speak your mind, but don't keep malice, for instance. Don't ignore them. So you need to reward good behavior and punish bad behavior. And it's as simple as that. The more you keep to yourself, the more you won't even have access to that phone that you want, right? So your kids understand that there are boundaries in life. You train that into your child, right? That there are boundaries in life, and people who don't follow the boundaries of life end up drug addicts, end up in prison, end up
Destroyed.
homeless,
Yes.
end up going through a lot because there's no direction, there's no enforcement of boundaries, right? That's why some people think they can go and steal because their mom was or their dad was patting them on the back when they came home with things that were not theirs, right? What happens is that this child is going to grow up thinking that this is the way to go until they steal one day, get arrested and thrown in jail. So you as a parent, your job is very, very much cut out for you, in that if you people end up as friends, fantastic, cherry on the top. But your initial role as a parent is to provide that guidance and provide the guardrail and guide them into the right path. And so, what you don't want to do is to create like a dictatorship. I think that's how some of us grew up, and we then overcorrected um, with our own kids. We didn't want to be like our own parents, but at the same time, we overdid it, right? In that, our kids now have free reign on everything, right? But we need to still provide boundaries. Every high functioning individual in the society understands boundaries, understands risk and rewards, understands that if I do this, and I'll reward you for that. No, it's not happening. And I see this play out on social media and things like that, where you see mother and daughter dancing funny dances together. Like, how do I now tell you to get off the phone when you and your 14-year-old daughter were twerking together online, right? Like, how do you now come tomorrow and say, give me your phone? You don't have the moral authority anymore because you yourself, you are not modeling the right thing. You are not creating the right boundary. It's not every social media trend that you and your children will jump on. First of all, there's even the part of you putting your children on every single thing, social media thing happening, and just kind of parading your children. There are security rules around that, but we're not even talking about that. We're just talking about modeling a lifestyle to your children that they can emulate. They know that, oh, this tomfoolery that happens on social media, it is not your way of life. You're not, mommy is not not a cloud chaser. Mommy doesn't do every single trend that mommy sees online. So you have to create that moral authority where you can say, look, can you see the way I live my life? Don't, if you want to do well in life, don't do this. So it's important to model the right things for the kids. That's a very tall order for us parents because, as you know, we are not perfect. So if mommy is on the phone for 6 hours throughout the day and the children are watching, when you tell them not to take the phone, it annoys them because they are not robots, they are humans. They are wondering how can you be on your phone all day, but you have a say when I want to touch this phone. So it's important to also model the right things to them. Let them know that, oh, this is where I work. I'm performing a particular action. And as soon as I'm done, I am also regulated, even though I'm your parent. As soon as I'm done, I'm going to drop my phone. I'm not living through my phone. So they see that and they see the need for them to also learn that regulation that, oh, okay, there are times we can have access to this and there are times we won't have access to this. So that's the thing to do. You don't want to be their friend. If it happens at the end of the day, great. But your primary job is to enforce these things and you explain it. And, I'm in leadership at work. And I find that the easiest way to get people to come on board is if you build the rules and regulations together. For instance, if you want to get people to do things, discuss it with them. They are the ones that will come up with ways to get
Yes.
it done. That way, it
Yes.
doesn't look like a top-down thing. It looks like we all agreed on this thing. And as soon as one of our nature as humans, as soon as if we build the rules together, we're all going to follow it because we built it together. We sat down and discussed the pros and cons of these rules. I do things like that with my kids. I would say we're going to shake on it, but this is what we are going to do. And they will negotiate. They will say, are you going to bed for now? Dad, since we're on holiday, let's do 9:30. I'll be like, okay, let's do 9:15. And we'll shake on it. What has happened is that they also have input. What our parents did was that don't touch TV. There was so many don't do this, don't do that without explanation as to why not. So that's the first thing. Explain why they shouldn't have access to this thing. Then the second thing is to have them have input into the regulation. So, oh, you can't have the phone for more than 2 hours. Oh, Dad, let's have it for 3 hours. You know yourself that it's fine if they have it for 3 hours, but you want them to also have an input because once they have an input, they will buy into it more. And this is very, very useful for teenagers. If you're raising teenagers, if your kids are in their late teens, you need to let them feel like their voices are being heard, right? If your child, especially teenagers, if your child starts feeling like mommy doesn't cuckoo care, she will just come and give law. I don't even understand. They will then find ways to boycott your laws and everything. But if you sit down together, discuss the pros and cons, let them have input. I have found at work, for instance, that that's what works. That if you want to get people to do things, right, the best way is not to bring the rules and regulations and things to do and dump it on them. Even in places where people are being paid, they don't like it, right? Let alone in families. You have to sit everybody down and say, this is where we need to get to. To get there, this is what we need to do to get there. How do you think we should achieve it? And people will start giving you, ways to go about it. And then all of us will agree on that way. Then when we agree on it, it's easy to see compliance. right? It's easy to see. It's easy to see people kind of following through because they know that they are not robots. And one thing there's something that triggers rebellion in us, which is when a law is placed on us arbitrarily. That's why we have free will, right? And so whenever that free will is being tampered with, we will naturally rebel and say, no, why
Rebel.
is this happening? And then you question it. And again, one thing parents should also do is to allow kids ask questions. Why don't we have access to this phone? Why don't I have a phone? My friends have a phone. My friend has had a phone since she was 8 or 9, and you can explain that. Well, in this family, this is what we're trying to achieve,
Our
and for you
family
to achieve that,
values. Yeah.
and for you to achieve that, if you have a phone now, it's going to distract you. These are the disadvantages of having a phone
Mm.
at your age. Maybe those people's parents don't have the same orientation that we have. Okay, you
Mm-hmm.
don't have to be like everybody. These things are things you have to start imbibing into your kids, girl child, boy child. You have to start imbibing into them so that they understand boundaries and they understand how to play within those boundaries. They have input when it comes to the rules and regulations, right? During holidays, my kids can watch TV to a little bit late. We can watch TV together, things like that. But they know that weekdays there's no TV, there's no phone, there's no laptop, nothing. You are doing your homework and you either go and play outside or you go and sleep, right? Because you know that this thing is not helping them for now. You are doing a homework, yes, but you are not watching anything. Even if you are going to watch maybe an hour, you have them have input. Oh, Dad, I finished my assignment. I have done my homework. Can I just watch 30 minutes of my favorite show? Sure, right? You have to come off as okay. Yes, I'm not against your enjoyment. What I'm trying to do is teach you how to
Regulate.
live with this certain, yeah, how to regulate your life, how to give yourself that self satisfaction when you have waited. This whole idea of waiting and getting the rewards at the end of the day, we need to teach it to our kids. We were taught by force. There was no TV till 4 p.m. And so you had to wait. And then when it was 4 p.m., you were happy. You got that dopamine hit. You watched your show and you left the TV, right? But we then need to train that same behavior into our kids where they learn to wait for things. Have you seen a child sometimes when the Wi-Fi is down, the way they are hitting the phone and they are hitting the tablet? You can
Mm.
tell that what you have trained into that child is a lot of impatience, a lot of rebellion, a lot of like anger once they don't have access to these things. So it's important to also regulate, have them have input, and you model the right things for the children.
Wow, I was going to ask one or two questions, but from everything you said, you already answered all those questions about independence and trust. And you said like letting them also have an input, explaining to them the reason why we're doing this. Mommy is not a dictator. That is not a dictator. I want to help you better your life. I know from research we have learned that they said the brain does not develop fully till like 20 something years old and all of that.
Yeah.
So as the parents, we're supposed to be leaders. You said something that you're not your child's friend. If at the end of the, if we turn out to be friends, fine, I'm happy. But for
I will
now,
take it.
like, let's
But
begin.
for now, we are
It's the
not
cherry,
friends.
said it's cherry on top.
I am
But
your
right now,
I am your guardian
I'm your
till you get to the
guardian.
destination God has set aside for you.
Yes, you this that boundaries, and I think this is where the problem is. Not like you always blow the boundary. The boundary line is it's far. It's not even blow. It's the have cancelled it. It's not there. It's not there. So these children, sometimes some of them even they want you as a parent to tell them, don't do this, don't do that, but it's not coming from you because the truth of the matter is it's just easier for you when they are just somewhere, they're not disturbing you. You feel it's cool. Like let them just be by themselves. My child can be bad,
Yeah.
but he can do bad by himself. Nobody said parenting is going to be easy, especially in their formative years like this. But something that you have done over and over again. Because our children are not dummies. They will get it one day and they're like, no, we can't do this and all of that. I know you said something
Yeah.
again about letting our children know that our family is different from that family. This is our own family value. They might have phones at the age of 8. They might have phones, have tabs. And it's not because we can't afford it. It's because
Yeah.
we don't want you. This is what we want for you. And these things are major
Yeah.
distractions that will not allow you achieve it. I remember there was one year I was talking to my daughter because she was asking questions. Why would you allow me to do this? Why cannot not do this? And I'm like, let me just tell you, mommy is helping you. Said, how is that help? Does that look like help? I said, yes. I have to explain the concept, and it's tough
Yeah.
love. That's the truth. Some of them are very manipulative. They will cry, they will do this and all of that. I'm not, like you said, but you have to be able to stand your ground and say that as long as I know that this thing I'm doing for you is the right thing, then this is how we are going to have it. And if you are here as a person, as a mother, as a parent, and your children still don't know your family values, they don't know what you stand for in your family, they don't know why they are different, they don't know what they should be doing, I feel that this is a good time to start that. I know we're not just talking about just screen alone now. We're talking about parenting in itself. Yes, it's no retreat, no surrender. So, somebody said I will set boundaries. Their grandma. Yes.
Yeah,
Yes. And I'm not talking
and I
about
like to
that.
say something towards that as well. Once you have visitors, let them understand the boundaries as well, right? You're not being rude, you're not anything. Like, grandma, you can't give these children phone. No. They are disturbing you, send them to me. They know that if you send them to me, they know what I'm going to tell them. But because grandma is at home, they want to use that grandma's opportunity to collect grandma's
Yes,
phone
and they know
or
the
to
people that
watch
are
a
on
little
their
bit,
team.
you know, they to watch a little bit, maybe 2 more hours of TV or to sleep later, right? And so it's important to let even grandma know that, grandma, I'm doing something here. I'm trying to raise, a child here, and these are the things we are trying to do, right? And some of our parents also didn't go deep into this parenting. They just found themselves with kids, and they just were struggling to meet up with everything that had to do with raising us. That a lot of mistakes that they made because they just weren't educated enough on raising kids. But we have the opportunity because we are more exposed, as with every newer generation, right? To also educate visitors. Oh, in our house, we don't dance funny dances here. We don't twerk in
We
this
don't
house here. So
work.
if your
We don't
if
work in
their
this house.
cousins come and they start turning on a particular we don't watch anything that is less than, if it's 16 plus, you are not watching. If it's 13 plus, you are not watching. Let cousins also know that there's no watching of 13 plus here. You can be watching it in your house, but we are different here. There's no twerking in this house. Even if you are playing twerking, it's not happening, right? Just general good behavior, when when daddies are talking and making noise, I'm talking about college days or the days where where they acted silly. The kids are not supposed to be picking up on that, right? There are conversations that you have around your children. When you're having very adult conversation with your friends, you have them go do some, leave the premises, or you leave the premises. You can't be having barroom talk when your children are there. Same thing with women. You can't be having hairdresser type conversation when your kids are there listening to you, right? You know the kind of conversation that happens at the hairdressing salon. You can't be having the same conversation at home when your kids are there, especially when your friends come to visit. There's just a lot of boundaries, right? I remember when my daughter was growing old, and before, if she's sitting in the room and there's any scene, I would chase her and say, "Go to your room" or something. And a few friends did not understand why. And I was like, no, at this age, they cannot reconcile what they are watching. And what that would do is that to trigger that curiosity and make them go and learn it from where you don't want them to learn it from. It's better you are the one that teaches them these things. They can't have access to some programs on Netflix, Amazon Prime, things like that. Like, you just need to provide that level of groundness in your
Yeah,
house where
boundaries.
everybody
Yeah.
knows that in this household, though, these are the rules.
Yeah, thank you so much. We spent like an hour, and it looks like we just got here. So many things have been said already. I hope you have picked your own out of it and all of that. I read an article to you. Shout out to Koye Ladile. After he saw the program, he saw the info on Instagram. On Instagram, he sent me an article this morning. He actually paid for that article and he sent it to me as a gift. Thank you so much, Koye. I love you every day. And you know, when I read in that article, I saw a kind of I will share with mommies in the community. Yes, if you know that you want access, you can join our community. Just mommies that come on WhatsApp, send us a DM. I'm going to share the chat basically. But you know, there was something they said that there was this what was it now, like a survey that was conducted, and they put some few adults, they told them to get off Facebook, I think for some few days and all of that. Okay, can everybody still hear me? All right. So they
Yeah.
said this adult should get off Facebook for a few days and all of that. You know, when they go back after the Facebook Facebook holiday or the iTunes, and they came back, and they said they actually feel happier, they feel better with themselves. The big word there was they feel happier because they're not consuming things, whether you like or not. There sometimes you go on internet and you see things that, you know, some of the time the reason why you are running helter skelter is because you have seen somebody's information, somebody has done this, somebody has done that, and so somehow unconsciously that article wrote that our children they're still scrolling to doom because they just keep scrolling. Have you tried to go on TikTok? You know, the day I stopped TikTok was the day I was on TikTok, and I could not come out of it. I was laughing, I was enjoying. Before you finish one, you can never finish. They just bring different content and say Marco Bami. Even as an adult, I don't think that since they started, I may have gone on TikTok maybe twice or once, and that was whole. Like never ever again. I'm not even going to do this anybody anymore because you have things to do, and you just want. And when you see different people, I know the way you see followers. Now I have an online community. I want 1 million followers. I'm serious. So you have to be here every day. But then, where would this lead me? Basically. And I don't want my children to know that mommy is always so even with this little I'm doing, I have to explain so much. So as parents have to be self-regulated. Basically, let your children know what you are doing and also be disciplined. Let them know, be disciplined. You don't have to be carrying your phone up and down and everything. You're the one who is following this, you're the one who is following that person, you are following Bobrisky, you are following this one, that one, and all of that. And then another thing is the unconscious in our children pick up. So, funny story. I was just sitting down by myself before yesterday, and I heard from my children's room, Esther bleach. I said, where is that thing coming from? Esther Shekini. I've never shown them. I don't know.
Because I'm sure they
Is
must
you
have
know
been listening
they picked it
to
up from maybe
people.
somebody was listening to it somewhere. And I said, Esther did what? They just reported me now. I have to call everybody in the house. I said, see, everybody has to be more conscious because they are
Yeah.
picking up this thing. We don't want people there in the house, so but you see that, you know, the advert and everything, and they just be singing. You know the way 737, 0807,
Yeah.
737, the way is inside
Yeah.
my head now. Those are that live rent in your head. The same way with the children, they are just speaking it and everything outside and all of that. The day they say, Mommy, let's do to. I said, yeah, I don't want to in the house. Do you understand? But I think she just heard it somewhere and all of that, and it was really fun. We laughed over it. So after I had to go, I said, Auntie, come. So that song, let's talk about it. How does it and all of that? They understand these things. So let's draw the boundaries and let us stay within those boundaries for their own good. Regulate
Yeah.
screen time. A child under 2 years old, you know, research has shown us any child under 2 years old has no business on the screen. You are saying they are learning and all of that. Let them play, free play. Let them play. You know, some days ago, my children were talking to the neighbors. They were all of them from the window. They were conversing from the window, and I was feeling good because it has not. You know, they were talking to each other from the window. In fact, my sister had to go and he had to go and do it. She had to do a video of them talking to other children, the other neighbor. There's a big
Yeah.
fence and all of that. But you know, those things are missing these days from our children's interaction. They
Remember
are
one of
just
the remember one of the things I spoke about was that we overcorrected, right? Because the way our parents shielded us so much, when we kind of let us, we then kind of shield our children so much, right?
yeah,
But studies have shown that it is better for kids to play outside than to have access
yeah,
to
the
phones,
power of the great
and all that.
outdoors.
To allow your children kind of interact. These these things are the part of the brain that we humans have developed for a long time. It took us years to develop that part of the brain, and what we use it for It's just this kind of interaction where we'll sit down and talk with friends, and you are happy, you're gisting, you're educating each other, just enjoying the company of friends and family. These kids are not learning it. In fact, it is said that that part of their brain is shrinking, which is why you just observe kids at parties. All of them have collected their mom's phone and they are watching instead of them to actually be at the party that was organized for them, right? There's the children's party, you go there, you see almost all the children on their phones. You have to literally kind of pry out the phone from their hands and have them interact. Let your kids go outside. Let them ride their bicycles outside. Take a walk with them. Let them see the environment. It's not every time they have their entertainment have to come from phones. Let them go outside and play the kind of play we played. The girls used to play 10-10 in our days,
Yeah.
right? And we didn't think anything of it. The boys played all kinds of, football, table tennis, lawn tennis. Even we used to play tag as kids. These kids don't even do anything. The only thing they want is either video games or their tablet. So we need to start training them. Whenever they come to you that they are bored, tell them to go outside, right? One of the things I tried to do when I was moving to this my place was to have a big compound so that they can. So once they say, oh, I'll be like, oh, yeah, go outside, go and play,
Go
run
and
around,
run.
look at the flowers, right? And they know. So sometimes when they come and meet me, I'll say, go outside, just go outside. I don't know the play you are going to play, but just walk around, just look around, just interact with your environment. Yeah, that's the word I use. I'll say interact with your environment. Drop that device, interact with your environment. Look at flowers, talk to other kids in the neighborhood, play, just interaction as opposed to just, burying your face into
Yeah.
into that device.
Yeah.
Another thing I wanted
Situational
to say was that
awareness. Yeah.
mhm, Silicon Valley CEOs, especially the ones who built some of these tools, they were polled, and 80% of them said that they banned their children from using mobile phones. 80%
Wow.
of
Even
the
the people that
CEOs
made it.
that make these tools, right? They don't want their children anywhere near it. The same way you will scream if you saw them with cocaine is the same way you should scream if you see them with this device unattended to or without that regulation. There are so many research leading to the fact that a lot of kids are now committing suicide. A lot of kids are now turning to gambling, drugs, and pornography just to get that same dopamine hit that they require because they are no more getting it from the device. So they are taking it to the next level. So you don't want to train that into a child. You want to provide that guardrail.
Mommies, did you hear that? The people that are building the house, the Silicon Valley guys, even their children don't
They
have
said
it.
they don't
They are
want their
not
children
using
on
it.
it.
Because
Yeah,
they know what's going on. They know what
yeah,
can happen. Their children are learning, they are learning. They have whiteboards at home. That's another
yeah,
thing. So let's go back. We know that these things, if they have to be, they to be highly regulated. Because by the time they are growing up, they will grow into it. They know that. And that's how you teach self-regulation. You just know that it's time for me to stop and all of that. But for now, while they are growing up, put the boundaries there.
they don't
Zero
know
to
how to
two.
regulate themselves.
Yes.
They can be on that phone for
Yes.
hours. I've seen parents leave their kids with phone or with YouTube for 5, 6, 7 hours. If the thing is buffering this, they are
Yes.
so yeah, it's the things that the big tech seem to be building is one for virality. I want everybody to have access to my app, and second one, stickiness, which is I want you to go and come back, to go and come
Mm-hmm.
back. And they found psychologists to hack this thing, right? So all that it is to encourage you to come back. It goes to the core of the things you desire as a person. You
Yeah.
want to be liked. You want social significance. So you have 10,000 followers. You have 1 million followers. You are an influencer. You are popular. People like that. And so you come back every day to check how many people followed me today. You know, how many people liked the picture
How
I
many
put out there?
comments do I
But you
have?
don't know. You don't know that these people are training you this way, right? And you then find out that soon enough, because you are so much messed up with your dopamine feedback loop, you are not happy. Because even the things, the normal things you do in life that makes you happy, you just find out that you're not happy until somebody likes your picture. You know, people go as far as looking at the kind of, you know, the people who like their picture and then go and meet the people who don't like their picture and ask them why they did not like their picture, right? It's just this need to feel validated through this tool that has messed up the system, right? It's a system put in place to keep you in check, like to make you happy, but you can't be too happy, right? You have to come down from your happiness high and also do another thing that will give you happiness again. But now this thing just is just doing it over and over and over and over again. You've kind of moved away from the way it was supposed to be. So you're burdening your brain with this thing. That's why when people leave their phones, I've been known to put my phone wherever and not attend to it. I would rather it will get me faster with an email than on my phone because I know how toxic it can get. You're walking on the road, you are scrolling, you're driving, you are looking at it, right? A lot of deaths happen because drivers were literally on their phone scrolling social media, checking for likes, comments, and things. So the need to have meaning, the need for social validation, the need to be seen is now what we have built into the society. That's why you see a lot of people who say outlandish things as well, because now the more outlandish things you say, the more attention you will get, and the more comments and likes and things like that. So the things people would not say regularly on a good day, they can say it online and do it online and bully other people online. And we are just in that vicious cycle, racing towards a bottom that I am myself, I'm not particularly happy about, that the society has allowed this tool to kind of um, modify our behavior. Like if you check 30 years ago, the way people behave now on social media and the way they comment on things, people don't comment like that. But you can see people will be supporting what is wrong, what is glaringly wrong, and they'll be telling you that, you know, because they want to seem different. They want social acceptance from whoever is going to retweet that thing they said. Just say outlandish things, say hurtful things, say very, you know, very scary things because they are behind a keyboard, right? So that's what has happened to the society. We don't need to we don't need to play into that. We need to delve away from it. So please, even you as a parent, if you don't work on your phone, let the phone be for what it is, communication. Even have a boundary for yourself. 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, depending on your use, and you do other things. Like how many people pick up a book and read now? So if your children have never seen you reading a book, how do you expect them to go pick up a book and read? They've never seen you open the pages of a book to read, and you are telling them to go and read a book. You know. So I rest my case. Thanks everyone.
Wow, wow, wow. A lot has been said already. Yes, so we are going to post this on our social media page, on our YouTube page. You can always go back. This conversation is really interesting, And of course, if you want to continue this conversation as a mom and as a mother, join our community at mommies.com. We say some of these things like, we have such interactions all the time. A lot has been said already. I hope we're able to pick one or two things, by this time tomorrow, you see my placard tomorrow. You are the product. Your attention is the currency. So pay attention to your attention. This year, anybody that cares to you, I'll just be saying it. Boundaries, regulation. You can't say these things too much. Be saying it as a parent. Your one job now is keep talking. Keep saying, the way Bible says that faith comes by hearing. Faith for your children, it will come when they hear you. Mommy keep saying, let them call you that mommy is not cool. Auntie, I don't want to be cool. As long as it will not cost me your future. Keep saying this thing. I'm not your friend. I'm your parent. I am your leader. There's leadership in this house. Thank you so much, Mr. Isaiah, my own brother, my own friend. Thank you so much. One day, you want to hear our story one day. Just
Yeah,
remain
too.
small like this. I'm coming. Thank you so much. My heart blesses you. I'm glad. Thank you for coming. Thank you for doing this for us. On
You're
behalf
most
of all the
welcome,
mommies in
everyone.
mommies.com, we are really grateful. Thank you so much. I hope we are coming back. My own name is Oliver Twist. I'm going to find something else. I'll come and catch you again in the house. All right. Thank you so much. My
I'll send
regards to your
you my
beautiful eye.
I'll
What?
send you my invoice.
Oh,
I have a rate card.
you know now. And when you send it to me, I'll just transfer it. You know you're transferring it to. I'll just transfer. I'll just transfer it. Thank you so much. My regards to your beautiful wife and children. And on this note, I'm
Yeah,
going to
so
call this a day. Thank you everyone for staying through. We spent like an hour, 30 minutes, and you all stayed. Thank you so much. Once again, my name is Kemi Faeshe. I am the convener of mommies.com. At mommies.com, we're a community of mommies raising proper children who eventually become awesome adults. All right. I know one thing we say is parenting is first about you before your children. Raise yourself, then you can raise your children, because you cannot give what you don't have, basically. Yes. And also, you can join our communities. Just send me a DM on Instagram, and and voila, you're just part of us. We're happy mommies raising happy children.